Okay, I want you to just, for a second, picture a time and a place. We're talking late 1977, going into 78. It's the middle of winter.
Hmm.
And you're inside this cinder block apartment on a place called D Street. And it is cramped. I mean, 3 adults, 2 kids, all squeezed into just 2 bedrooms.
You can just feel that, can't you? The cold coming off the wall.
Totally. And the soundtrack outside, it's not birds or, wind in the trees.
No, it's something very, very specific.
Right. It's this neighborhood group they call the D Street Choir. And they are not singing hymns. They're marching up and down the street shouting a song about a funky woman. It is gritty. It is loud.
And for the person whose story we're looking at today, that chaos was just home. It's such a visceral opening.
It really is. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a really potent slice of life. It's a transcript from a video called Eat Pit 3 Middle Schoolers from the More Than Transgender podcast channel.
And that title might be a little misleading. This isn't a policy debate or anything like that.
Well, not at all. This is a memoir. It's a raw look at growing up in the late 70s, dealing with, well, everything. Poverty, identity, and learning lessons from the school of hard knocks that, leave actual scars.
And what's so fascinating is that it's not just a misery memoir. It doesn't wallow. It's really a study in adaptation.
Yeah.
We're going to look at how a kid navigates a violent, unpredictable world with the tools they're given.
Even if those tools are incredibly harsh. I've got a lot to get through, from what we're calling grandma's law to the politics of pink hair rollers. But let's stay on D Street for a minute. The narrator paints this picture of really extreme seasons.
Right. Summer sounds almost idyllic. Cookouts, a big park, youth activities.
But winter. Winter changes everything. It forces everyone inside that tiny apartment.
And that's huge psychologically. You compress a family into a small space with financial stress, no escape. It just becomes a pressure cooker.
And that pressure spills out into how the kids interact. I mean, the way they resolved conflict in this neighborhood was intense.
That's one word for it.
There's this one story about a stomping that is just so bizarrely specific. A girl threatens to stomp the narrator.
Okay.
But get this, it's not because she's angry. She's doing it because her mother left instructions before she went on vacation to Florida.
Wait, what, like a to-do list?
Yes.
Yeah.
Water the plants, feed the cat, stomp the kid in 2B. It's wild.
I mean, beyond the dark humor of that, it tells you so much about the social hierarchy.
Yeah.
Violence wasn't just impulsive. It was sanctioned by adults. It was almost institutionalized.
And that lesson really hits home when we get to the glasses incident. Another girl just walks up to the narrator, no warning, and just slaps their glasses right off their face.
Oof.
And so, as a kid, your first instinct is what?
You run home, you run to safety, you run to grandma.
Exactly. The narrator runs home crying, looking for some kind of comfort. And grandma, she does not offer a cookie.
No, she offers an ultimatum.
She tells the narrator, if you ever let anybody send you home crying again, I'm gonna beat you.
And there it is. That's grandma's law.
Right.
To our ears, that just sounds cruel. It sounds like abuse.
It does.
But you have to see it through the lens of that environment. Grandma isn't trying to hurt the child. Not really. She's trying to harden them. She's basically saying, the world out there is worse than I am, so you better get used to it.
She's teaching deterrence.
Precisely. If you run home crying on D Street, you've just painted a target on your back. You're a victim. So she's making the cost of cowardice higher than the cost of fighting back.
And the crazy part is, it worked. The narrator says they stopped crying instantly. The fear of grandma was way stronger than the fear of the girl outside.
So they ran back out.
Ran right back out. Chased the girl down, didn't catch her, but in the narrator's words, my point was made. The switch was flipped.
It's pure behavioral conditioning. Action gets you safety, not tears.
There's another funny story. The window incident. The narrator gets locked out. They know they're not supposed to be outside, but they also know they're not supposed to climb through the window. It's a lose-lose.
A logic puzzle where every answer is you get a beating.
So they pick the window, grandma catches them, and yep, they get a beating. It just highlights this constant threat assessment you have to do as a kid. You become hypervigilant.
You have to be, just to survive the afternoon.
And speaking of that kind of vigilance, let's talk about identity. Because it wasn't just physical violence. It was also about how they were perceived.
Right. This is where we get into the gender policing from peers.
That's right.
Which is a whole other layer of cruelty.
There was this constant bullying about the narrator's walk. A girl would mock them by sticking her butt way out and strutting around.
And the narrator's point is, I wasn't doing it on purpose. I was just a skinny kid with a butt that was bigger than I was.
It's amazing how body shape becomes this this moral failing in middle school.
It's all about enforcing conformity. Your body is different, the way you move is different, so you get punished. It makes you self-conscious about every single step you take.
The narrator does have a funny aside, saying that as an adult they wouldn't mind having a little more of that now, but, and this is a direct quote, no implants.
Huh. Keeping it natural.
So alongside the body stuff, there's the hair culture. This was fascinating. We're talking about processing hair, the hot comb era.
Pre-Jerry curl, pre-S curl. This is the hot comb on the stove, the pink rollers. It was a ritual.
A family ritual. The mom didn't just do her own hair, she processed the father's hair too. And the narrator's.
Which is such a key detail. In the African-American community at that time, hair presentation was so often linked to respectability.
Right.
Straightening it was a way of presenting this polished, dignified front to a world that, well, that wasn't going to give you much respect otherwise.
So when the narrator starts doing it for themselves, it's a form of control, a kind of armor.
Absolutely. In a world where you can get stomped on a whim, you can control your hairline, you can control your waves, it's a small pocket of order in all that chaos.
But even armor has chinks, and we have to get into the darker side of this. The narrator uses this phrase that stuck with me. The download was very real.
The download. It seems to be their term for, being exposed to adult themes way too soon. Losing your innocence because the environment just forces it out of you.
And they share something deeply personal here. They talk about being sexually abused, but they use this phrase it's very difficult to process. They say they were abused to the point of enjoyment.
Yeah. And we need to pause here because this is so important to understand correctly.
It sounds so confusing. How can abuse be enjoyed?
It's the difference between a physiological response and psychological consent. A child's body can react to stimulation that's just biology, but their brain has no context for it. So the child tries to rationalize what's happening.
Maybe this is what being grown up is like.
Exactly. Maybe I'm supposed to like this. It's a coping mechanism. The narrator saying they got used to it is just a heartbreaking example of a kid trying to make sense of exploitation.
It's gut-wrenching. And then there was another incident that was just pure humiliation.
The stripping incident.
Yeah. Neighborhood kids held the narrator down, stripped off their shorts to see, in their words, what parts I really had.
And that goes right back to the gender policing we were talking about. The walk, the hair, it all culminated in this physical violation.
Yeah.
They saw the narrator as an other, as a puzzle they were entitled to solve by force.
And the narrator's reaction, I was humiliated, but what could I do? I was outnumbered. I moved on. That phrase again, I moved on.
It's resilience born of pure necessity. If you dwell on it, you drown. And remember, Grandma's law, if you run home crying, you get beaten. So what choice is there?
You just pull up your shorts and keep walking.
You compartmentalize the trauma just to get through the day.
But in the middle of all this grit and trauma, the narrative shifts. A completely different figure comes into the story.
Yes, the great-grandmother.
And the contrast is just, it's cinematic. You go from the gray cinder blocks of D Street to a nursing home where this woman has glowing white hair.
Almost angelic imagery.
They'd visit her after church on Sundays. And she didn't give threats or ultimatums. She gave advice. She would just say, you better watch.
You better watch.
Yeah. The narrator believes she was quoting the scripture, watch and pray. And they say this became their mantra. I do both now. I watch my surroundings and I pray.
That's such a powerful synthesis. Think about it. Watching is the street smarts. That's the hypervigilance they learned on D Street.
And praying is the spiritual inheritance, the hope.
Exactly. They merged the trauma of their environment with the spirituality of their ancestor and created a survival strategy. You can't just pray and ignore the danger, but if you only watch for danger, you lose your soul. You have to do both.
So we have the street smarts, the trauma, the spiritual advice, and then comes the real pivot, 7th grade.
The new school. A much, much bigger landscape. The former city high school.
A place so big they still held high school football games there. And the chaos followed them at first. Picture day ruined because their curls fell out.
A tragedy after all that work with the pink rollers.
For real, but also
Yeah.
witnessing after-school sex in the boys' bathroom. And the narrator's point is that the school was so huge no one would ever know.
So the authorities are just as absent as they were on the street.
But then,
Yeah.
in the middle of all that chaos, the narrator finds sanctuary.
The chorus.
Yeah.
This is the turning point of the whole story.
They try out, they get in singing tenor. And the way they describe it, it's with total reverence. This wasn't just singing songs. This was professional voice training, musical scales, harmonies.
And why do you think that resonated so deeply?
Well, compared to D Street, it's pure order.
Bingo. D Street is noise. It's the funky woman song. It's shouting. It's violence. A choir is the exact opposite. It's structure. Everyone has a part. You have to be in tune. You have to blend.
If you follow the rules of music, you create beauty. If you follow the rules of the street, you just survive.
It's a higher form of existence. And the songs they list, I Know Where I'm Going by Judy Collins, and this one gave me chills.
I know what you're going to say. Don't cry out loud.
Don't Cry Out Loud by Melissa Manchester. It's literally the musical version of Grandma's Law.
It is. Just keep it inside. Learn how to hide your feelings.
But here's the crucial difference. When Grandma says it, it's a threat. When you sing it in a choir, it's art. It transforms the pain. It gives you a way to express that suppression that is beautiful and celebrated, not just lonely and terrifying.
It turns the trauma into a performance. It gives them a voice.
And a future. The narrator says that's what gave them the push to even think about a career in entertainment. It opened a door D Street had always kept shut.
And we have to give props to Mom here. The narrator credits her for helping them dream big, while Dad, quote, wasn't around.
Shows you just need one champion, one person to push that dream button.
So the source wraps up there. 8th grade is a blur, they say, but the chorus stuck. 7th grade was where it all began.
It's the origin story. We've seen the hero go through all the trials and finally discover their superpower.
So if we step back, we started with cinder blocks and the D Street choir shouting in the street, and we ended with professional harmonies in a real choir. What's the big takeaway here?
For me, it's about the complexity of resilience. It's not about bouncing back. The narrator didn't bounce back. They absorbed everything. They're a composite of the tough grandma, the spiritual great-grandma, the bullies, and the choir director.
They didn't leave D Street behind. They integrated it.
Right. They took that hypervigilance, the watching, and applied it to their career. They took the don't cry out loud philosophy and turned it into performance. They built a self out of all the broken pieces.
It makes you think about our own lives, We all have our own D Streets, maybe not literally, but those early environments that try to define us.
And we all face that choice. Do I let this environment crush me, or do I find my choir? Do I find the structure that turns the noise into harmony?
Before we go, I want to leave you with that one last thought from the great-grandmother. You better watch.
It's still so haunting.
It is, because how often do those cryptic warnings from our elders, the ones that seem so scary when we're kids, become the exact tools we use to survive later? We think they're just scaring us, until one day we realize we're watching exactly the way they told us to.
That's the legacy, isn't it? The survival guide is passed down, whether we realize it at the time or not.
A huge thank you to the source, the More Than Transgender podcast, for sharing this incredibly vulnerable story. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Keep watching and keep finding your harmony.
We'll see you next time.